Welcome to the Professional Negotiation Skills Training Program. The e-learning training program in which you are about to participate is designed for beverage industry personnel who wish to add another dimension to their sales skills, the ability to manage the give and take of negotiating with customers, suppliers, vendors, and colleagues. You'll also find the skills you learn will be of value in your personal life as well. The program is conducted by Bob Brown. In addition to being president of Sales Systems Development, Inc., and prior to that, National Director of Sales Training and Recruiting for the E&J Gallo Winery, Bob has conducted over 500 seminars involving approximately 10,000 beverage industry sales and management personnel. He has conducted training for most of the leading beverage industry suppliers and distributor sales organizations, as well as been a featured seminar leader at over 30 beverage industry conventions. The Professional Negotiation Skills Training Program offers 3 major segments. In the first, you'll learn the important distinction between selling and negotiating, the 4-step negotiation process, and the key behaviors of successful negotiators. The second segment covers the 5 negotiation planning questions to answer and provides a planning template. The final session focuses on bargaining. We'll define practical techniques for managing concessions and how to recognize, counter, and use 8 negotiation techniques. As you proceed from segment to segment, you'll be asked to complete quizzes designed to test your understanding and reinforce the learning. Take advantage of the opportunity the Professional Negotiation Skills Programs offers to assess your current selling and negotiation approaches. Evaluate your skills and look for personal development opportunities that will improve sales results and advance your career.
Negotiation is about results. It's about improving your company's return on investment by not leaving money on the table. It's about fairness. Negotiation is about relationships, and negotiation is about dealing with anxiety. There aren't too many people who wake up in the morning and say to themselves, "My God, what a wonderful day this is going to be. I'm going to have a chance to negotiate." Negotiation is usually accompanied by some anxiety. What we want to do with what you learn is replace some of that anxiety with confidence. Because those who've studied negotiation have learned that where anxiety exists, and true, more for some people than others, several things tend to occur. It tends to affect our ability to think on our feet, and as a result, people tend to be willing to settle for something just slightly above the least they'd expect, the least they wanted. Keep in mind that we negotiate with everyone, not just our customers. We negotiate with those we work for, that work for us, that don't work for us, with vendors. We also negotiate within our personal life. So I want you to look at what you take away from this, not just as a business skill to help you sell more, but as a life skill as well. All right, let's take a look at the 5 key focus areas that we're going to be directed towards. 5 key areas of learning. The first one we're going to focus on is the negotiation process itself. We're going to look at a definition. We're going to talk about what the ingredients of a good negotiation happens to be. We're going to look at, very importantly, common mistakes. What are some of the common mistakes that we tend to make when we're negotiating? As well as the difference between selling and negotiating. When does one begin and the other end? And what are the implications of not recognizing it? You're going to find that they're important. The second area is what are the behaviors of negotiators who are successful compared to those who are less successful, mediocre, or poor. The third area we're going to get into is negotiating styles. Negotiation revolves around 2 dimensions. Results, and the emphasis we have on results, as well as the priority or value we place on the relationship. In every negotiation, unless it's with somebody we'll never see again, the relationship is one of the items that's on the table. Right, the fourth key area is planning. Fortunately, the reality is that for many of us, we spend more time in an actual negotiation than we spend planning it. But we're going to make that easy. One of the things people who've studied negotiation have learned is that really effective negotiators actually spend no more time planning than those who are not effective. So the important thing is what you focus on. And we're going to look at 5 key negotiation planning questions that if you learn to use these from a thinking process standpoint, not necessarily formally, you'll be more effective. The last area, the 5th area, is where good theory and practice come together, bargaining. It is the give and take of bargaining where the rubber meets the road. So we're going to look at concessions and how to manage them. We're going to look at some ideas on what it is you should say and do that will help you during a negotiation. And we're going to conclude by talking about 8 negotiation tactics. The important thing being, these aren't complicated, that if you learn to recognize them when they're being used on you, know how to counter them, and when it's appropriate, know how to use them yourself, you're going to be more effective negotiating. So now we want to get into the 3rd area, which really revolves around the way we go about negotiation. We want to look at negotiation styles. There are 5 basic styles, and the more we understand our own and take a look at the style that's employed by those with whom we do business, the more effective we can be negotiating. This brings us to the last key segment of our session on professional negotiation skills, which deals with the 3rd step in the negotiation process, bargaining. We've covered negotiation planning, we've covered discovery. Now we get to bargaining, which is where theory meets practice, where the rubber hits the road. And when we think about bargaining, bargaining really involves 3 fundamental areas. 1, recognizing the negotiation situation. 2, managing concessions, that give and take, and we'll provide some guidelines for handling concessions, managing them. And let's look at that 2nd area, managing concessions. What we're going to go through here are 7 guidelines for managing concessions. And I'll follow that with a list of tips and techniques on how to handle the whole give and take of the concession process, of the bargaining process, which will lead us then into the tactics.